Hey, what's up folks, how's it going? This is Watch, and in this video I'm going to be comparing my two most favorite smartwatches that you can get right now. I'm specifically talking about the Samsung Gear S2 and the new ZenWatch 2 from Asus. So basically, if you're interested in finally getting a smartwatch, I think you should really consider both of these for different options. So we're going to explore the capabilities of both watches to see which one is going to best suit your personal needs. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Now physically you can see that the ZenWatch 2 is larger than the Gear S2, and of course the ZenWatch employs a more rectangular design opposed to the circular design that we're finding in a lot of modern day smartwatches, including the Gear S2. Now in terms of thickness, the Gear S2 is slightly thicker than the ZenWatch 2, as you can see over here, but in reality you're probably not going to notice much of a difference. However, one thing you are going to notice is that the Gear S2 is slightly lighter compared to the ZenWatch 2, as you can see from our scale measurement test over here. Furthermore, when it comes to durability, both are using Gorilla Glass technology and both are water and dust resistant, with the official certification of IP68 on the Gear S2 and IP67 on the ZenWatch 2. Now the ZenWatch 2 isn't much of a departure from the original Asus ZenWatch. They basically are identical in terms of their overall physical look, but from a closer perspective there are some improvements. Basically you have the new crown button, which is a lot better to use than the weird power standby switch that was located at the back of the Asus ZenWatch. So ergonomically it makes a lot more sense. Unfortunately, they don't really do anything creative with this crown button. It's basically just a power standby switch. So therefore the main mode of control in the ZenWatch is through the capacitive touchscreen, which works fine just like any other smartwatch. But when we start comparing things to the Gear S2, one thing that you'll notice initially right off the bat is that it's a lot easier to navigate through the menus because it's custom designed for the specific hardware. And not that there's anything wrong with a Google Android Wear that's running on the ZenWatch 2, but there's something cool about having the software and hardware integrate completely harmoniously, and that's what Samsung is doing with the Gear S2 by using the Tizen platform, and they've completely redid the OS for the Gear S2 in order to maximize the efficiency of the new scroll dial that they've put onto the bezel of the watch. And one of the great things about this bezel is that not only is it easier to use in terms of navigation and browsing through your application, but it also acts as an input device, much like what we find on the digital crown on the Apple Watch. So therefore, with all this stuff in mind, for me personally, I find it a joy to use the Gear S2 because of its hardware and software integration compared to the ZenWatch, which is more of a functional product than anything else. And really with this new version of the ZenWatch, Asus is not really doing anything special that's going to expand the ease of use and functionality of a typical smartwatch. Now moving on, in terms of the display, you're looking at about a 1.2-inch display that's fully circular on the Gear S2 versus you're looking about a 1.6-inch display on the ZenWatch 2. In terms of resolution, the Samsung is higher at 360 by 360, giving it a PPI count about 302 versus the ZenWatch 2 has a resolution of 320 by 320, giving it a PPI count of 278. And lastly, both are using organic LED technology, so the display and the backlight is all in one, which not only will deliver really vibrant looking images onto the displays, but also give you pretty decent battery performance as well. Now in terms of sensors, both have accelerometers, gyroscopes, ambient light sensors. The only exception is that the Asus ZenWatch 2 does not have a heart rate monitor, unlike the Gear S2, which does. So if you want to do a lot of exercising and monitor your heart rate throughout your daily activities, that's going to be there for you on the Gear S2 versus you're not going to have that feature available on the ZenWatch. But of course, just like every other smartwatch, both are going to do an excellent job in terms of tracking how many steps you're taking throughout the day and as well as other health related activities. Now in terms of the internal specs, the Gear S2 comes equipped with an Exynos 3250 chip, which is a dual core processor clocked around 1 GHz. The ZenWatch 2 on the other hand comes with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 chip, which is clocked around 1.2 GHz, and that's also a dual core as well. Both have the same amount of RAM, 512 megabytes, and both have the same amount of internal storage of 4 gigabytes. Now in terms of connectivity options, both are going to primarily use Bluetooth 4.1 to connect to your smartphone. Both have Wi-Fi and NFC integration built in, and really the only option that the Gear S2 has that the ZenWatch 2 doesn't is the fact that you can get a 3G version, although I don't see what the point would be. I guess if you want to be connected to the internet wherever you go independent of a smartphone, you can get that 3G version of the Gear S2 2 if you like. Now, the last thing that we're going to talk about is the battery performance of both these two smartwatches. In terms of capacity, you're looking at a larger battery on the ZenWatch 2, about 400 milliamp hours. That's quite a lot more than the 250 milliamp hours we get on the Bluetooth version of the Gear S2. And basically what I did to test out the battery life is I use both smartwatches for about a week's time with my particular user profile, and I simply monitored on how many hours it took to get from 100 to 0%. And here are the results over here. And again, this is basically an average amount of hours that I got on one charge on both smartwatches. You're looking at about 23 hours on the Gear S2 and about 26 hours on the ZenWatch 2. So generally speaking, there's not a completely massive difference. 3 hours on average better on the ZenWatch 2. That's going to generally translate into basically 2 days of usage on the ZenWatch 2, and you can probably get a day and a half, if not 2 days of usage on the Gear S2, depending upon your user profile. So more than likely, both smartwatches, I would say, are more similar than they are different in terms of battery performance, and both definitely should get you throughout the day, even if you're a super duty, heavy duty user. But if you use your smartwatch on more an occasional basis and you don't get as many notifications, you can definitely stretch out the usage to a day and a half, if not 2 days on both devices. But with all that said, that's really it. Definitely let me know what you guys think of the comparison down below. Give us a thumbs up if this video helped you out in any way, and check out the description for the detailed links about everything we talked about. Generally speaking, I'm a big fan of this new Samsung Gear S2. I think it's one of the best smartwatches that I've ever used. But if you're in it for more of a bargain, I definitely think the ZenWatch is probably one of the best Google Android Wear devices, specifically for its simplicity's sake and the clean design, and again, its competitive price point. So in terms of value standpoint, definitely check that out. We're going to have a full 2015 best smartwatches of the year video coming out very, very soon. So if you're interested in finding out what the best smartwatches were of the year, definitely stay tuned for that on the channel. So in the meantime, make sure you're subscribed. But thanks again for watching. We'll see you later. Take care.